Welcome back to another Stars Unlimited deck video, where today I'm bringing you something a little bit different. Set 4 has recently been announced, and Set 4, by the looks of it, is all about piloting a new mechanic, attaching leaders to vehicles, and well, vehicles in general. So I thought, what better opportunity have I got to share with you guys my vehicle deck? This deck is a lot of fun. You just run so many vehicles. You end up doing so much damage so fast with everything boosting each other. It's just crazy good. I really enjoy it. This deck is only just going to get better once the next set comes out, with all these new leaders that I directly link into vehicles, and with, well, all these new vehicle cards that are coming out. If you enjoy Stars Unlimited content, and well, in particular deck building content, then make sure to like and subscribe because, well, there's going to be plenty more decks to come, and I don't want you guys to miss out, and it also really helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. With that being said, let's jump on to the leader. Some of you may be thinking, why Leia in a vehicle deck? That is because a lot of the vehicles we've got already that have synergy with one another are rebels, so her ability is perfect for it. Why? Her action: attack with a rebel unit, then you may attack with another rebel unit. So because you're playing so many rebel vehicles, you can just keep attacking, meaning you've got the initiative to then go again. It allows this deck to be really aggressive. When you deploy her, she comes out on 5, so fairly quick. She's a 3/6 with raid 1, so she's essentially a 4/6 that reads, when this unit completes an attack, you may attack with another rebel unit. So yet again, it keeps that aggression up, because you can swing for 4 with Leia, and attack with one of your vehicles over here, or maybe another ground vehicle. This is the first time I've used Leia, and I've actually been pleasantly surprised how good she actually is. Because of her ability, you're always just getting all your attacks off really quickly, meaning you can claim the initiative to then do it again. She's really aggressive and really fast. I really enjoy her. For our base, we run the red, the nest. We just need red because there's a lot of cards and a lot of vehicles that are very, very good for this deck that are, well, red, so we need it. I'm tempted to go Tarkin Town, but I'm not too sure yet. I think I'm leaning towards Tarkin Town, but for the moment, I've just got the nest. But please feel free to give Tarkin Town a go and let me know how it turns out for you. Before we get into the deck, I know I briefly said that we've gone for kind of a rebel theme with Leia because that's what all the vehicles are. You're going to see a lot of the cards in this deck all synergize with that rebel key term, so keep that in mind as we go on. So with our leader and base gone over, let's just jump on to these ground units. We start things off with a 1 cost, and that's free Alliance Dispatcher. Why have we got him in this deck? Well, he fits the theme because in here he's dispatching all the vehicles off to battle. So of course we got to fit the theme within the deck. Not just that, he's got an action. Play a unit from your hand, it costs 1 less. That can be quite nice because if you can play out your main power card a turn early, Wedge Antilles, then it's game over for them. Really nice card, it's alright, normally gets resourced, but he's there, and he can surprise your opposition by popping out a good card early. Moving on to our next unit is a 2 cost, and that's free Battlefield Marine, just an absolute solid turn 1 play. He's a rebel, 3/3. As I said when I was going over the leader, a lot of the cards in this deck are rebels, so Leia can get, well, her ability off to attack with them, and, well, this is one of the best turn 1 stat line cards you can play with no downside. It's solid. That's all I can say. It's just a solid card to turn out. And like I previously stated, because it's a rebel, it gets a lot of synergy with many cards within this deck. So that's our 2 cost ground units done. Let's jump on to the 3 cost, and we run 3 Fleet Lieutenant. There's no way we run a rebel deck without running Fleet Lieutenant. Why? Because when played, you may attack the unit. If it's a rebel unit, it gets +2 for this attack. The reason this card's so good as well is because it's a 3/3. So you can play this out, maybe boost up your Battlefield Marine, it hits for 5. The following turn, you've got these 2 ready. Activate Leia, meaning you can attack with both of them at the same time, meaning you get 6 damage in. That's absurd damage, and we haven't got into the vehicles yet, which is the main part of the deck. That's our 3 cost ground units done. Just jump on to the 4 cost. We start things off with 2 General Dodonnas. Why is he in here? Well, other friendly rebel units get +1/+1. It's pretty much 90% of this deck he is going to boost up. This also works with Leia, meaning your 5 cost Leia suddenly starts swinging for 5 with 7 health. This is another one of these cards. If you can get him out a turn early with Alliance Dispatcher, it really starts to make your opposition think. So they got to think, do I take Dodonna out? Or do I just keep going for their base? More often than not, they go for Dodonna, so that's 4 damage off your base. Moving on to our next 4 cost ground unit is actually free 80 Arties. This is a card I've never played until this deck. Why are we running this card? Well, it's a vehicle deck, and it's a vehicle. There aren't many ground vehicles at a low cost, so I had to go in here, and where it gets ambushed. I know it says when you control another vehicle unit, trust me, you'll almost always have another vehicle on board, so it basically always gets ambush. Unfortunately, the free attack for 4 cost on the ambush isn't amazing, but it has got the 5 health, so normally it survives. Fun card to try out within this deck. It does actually get quite a bit of success, and well, look how gorgeous this is. I packed it in my first ever pre-release event and I've never been able to run it until now. Not just that, this card, once it gets boosted up by our next card, suddenly becomes a hell of a lot better. Talking about next card is a 5 cost. It's already been spoiled, but an insanely strong card, and within set 4, it's 100% going to get better. That's Wedge Antilles. We want to run 3 of them. What does he do? Why is he so good? Well, each friendly vehicle unit gets +1/+1 and ambush. Yes, and ambush. Unfortunately, unless you're playing space deck, that ambush won't come in that much. However, the key thing you got to think about is you have Wedge out, right? You'll also have out General Dodana, meaning basically all your units are getting +2/+2 of these out in the field. Do you know how good that is? All of a sudden, something like your A-Wing will start swinging for 5 damage. I really like Wedge. I just really wish there was more low-costing ground vehicles. For the sheer reason of being able to give them ambush would be nuts. With that being said, if the games do drag on, we run a few big vehicle units that are on the ground, and be able to ambush with them is like absurdly good. So yeah, really like Wedge. Normally gets dealt with when he comes out, but yet again, because he's got 5 attack, he takes down whatever with him. Don't forget, he's got that Rebel tag, meaning Fleet Lieutenant works with him. He also gets boosted by Dodana, and Leia can activate her ability with him. Really like this card, and I had a lot of fun trying him out. He's got a lot of potential, like a lot of potential. If you're playing a space deck, by the way, and you got Wedge out on the field, you just win. Like, he just helps you win that battle straight up. Moving on to our next ground unit, we run 3 Gorilla Attack Pods. Really, really, really good card within the deck. Why? Because it's a vehicle, first of all, so meaning Wedge can boost him up. He's a rebel, meaning Dodana can boost him up, and he gets synergy with Leia. And it's got grit, and when played, if a base has 15 or more damage on it, ready this unit. So normally you can just play it and ready it up. Do you know what's really nice about this card? If you have Wedge on the field, and you have this card in hand, you can play it, ambush it with Wedge's ability, attack into whatever, then it's obviously exhausted. Then you can activate his when played. If you got 15 more damage on the base, ready it. So you can ambush, exhaust, then ready it back up. And normally when you ready it back up, it's then got the grit damage on it, meaning it's normally time for like 6 or 7 on the follow-up attack. Like, it's so good. Little plays like that is the reason I'm saying Wedge has got a lot of potential, especially within that next set. And rounding up our ground units is 2 ATDE Vanguards. It's not a rebel, but let me tell you, ambushing out this card is insane. Don't forget, Wedge will give it +1/+1, so it becomes a 7/10 with Restore 3 ambushing. Holy moly, it's so good. Normally the games don't go on that long so you get this card out, but having 2 of them there just in case is really important. Not just that, when defeated you get 2 Clone Trooper tokens. That's nice, but yeah, ambushing out, get that Restore 3 for 7 is so good. So that's our ground units done. I know we haven't got loads of them, but remember, this is a vehicle deck. So because of that, we run a lot of space units. So let's just go jump into them. Starting things off with these space units is 3 Alliance X-Wings. It's an alright card. It's just in here because, well, it's a rebel and it's a turn 1 we can play. So it's a 2/3, meaning it gets synergy with basically everything within this deck. It's alright. It's a nice turn 1 play, but we've got better ones. For example, our next 2-cost space unit, which is Green Squadron A-Wing. This is kind of our best turn 1 play, I'd say. Why? Because it's a 1/3, but it's got Ray 2, meaning it gains that 2 when attacking, so essentially it's a 3/3 when attacking. Why is that our best turn 1 play? For the sheer reason of, if you do that with Fleet Lieutenant, it's going to hit for 5. Not just that, it quickly gets boosted up by Dodana or Wedge, meaning it becomes a serious issue. Or, if you follow it up with one of our cards, Wing Leader, giving it 2 experience tokens, it then becomes a 3/5, but when it attacks, a 5/5. Really, really, really strong card. You guys know all about it by now, but yeah, this is probably our best turn 1 play, along with our Battlefield Marine. The reason I'd probably prefer getting this guy out earlier is because, well, people tend to play something out on ground, and be able to just play this in space means you can just lane dodge and attack. So that's our 2-cost space units done. Let's move on to our 3 costs. We've got Run Red 3. To be honest, I'd probably run more if I had more, but unfortunately I haven't got any. Why is this card so good? Because it's got raid 1, so attacks are free, but each other friendly hero aspect card gets raid 1. So pretty much 99% of this deck is going to get raid 1 while this card's on the board. So yet again, it's another card boosting up our units to just attack. And with Leia, it means we can just do those multiple attacks with the boost straight away. Are you starting to see why this deck can suddenly put out so much damage? Honestly, like, I didn't realise how good Leia's ability is with all these boosts. Having these boosts and be able to attack multiple units at once, just, oh my, I love it. I really, really love it. Moving on to our next free cost. It's been spoiled and now it's free wing leaders. It's 2-1, which ain't great, but when played, give 2 experience tokens to another friendly rebel unit. My favourite thing to do with this deck is either play your Battlefield Marine or A-Wing out turn 1, then turn 2 you play out your Wing Leader, giving it the 2 experience tokens. All of a sudden, you've got a big issue in space, then the following turn, you can activate Leia and attack with both of them straight away for the other chance to hit one of them. Just so you know, when this Wing Leader and the A-Wing is boosted up with the experience attack at the same time, that's 7 damage going into their base. 7! Moving on to our 4 costs, we actually got 3 Bright Hopes. Why have we got Bright Hope in here? Well, a couple of reasons. Because you've got a lot of units are building up in space, like our Green Squadron A-Wings, maybe our Wing Leaders, the Red 3. We obviously want them to survive. So because of that, we need to protect them. Having a 2/6 Sentinel out there does that. Not just that, yeah, again, it's a Rebel, meaning to get Synergy of Dodana, and it's a vehicle, meaning that Wedge Antilles can boost up, making it a free 7 Sentinel. Not just that as well, maybe you haven't had the best turn 1 play, you can bounce a friendly non-leader ground unit to its owner's hand, get to draw a card. So maybe you've played out Alliance Dispatcher, you don't want it out there anymore, bounce it to your hand, get another draw. Just a nice form of protection. Don't use it that much unless they start hitting me in space, then it's the nice bodyguard to just sit there and protect. Moving on to our 5 cost space units, we've got 2 Adelphi Patrol Wings. So, I know it's not a Rebel, but it's really good within the deck. Why? When played, you may attack the unit. If you have initiative, give it +2 for this attack. Let me tell you right now, you will almost always have initiative, because of Leia, meaning you can attack with multiple units at once, meaning you can kind of claim the initiative a bit earlier. Basically meaning you've got a Fleet Lieutenant you can use on anything you want. So it's another card within this deck that allows you to attack immediately and boost something up. On top of that, if you have Wedge out, this then gets ambushed and becomes a 5/7. What I really like doing with this card, I normally have Leia out, I have Adelphi in hand, I know, like another Rebel out. I then activate Adelphi, attacking with Leia, she gets the +2, hits the base, and then she triggers, meaning I can attack with another unit into their base. The amount of different triggers that happens with this deck is just, oh, I love it. And rounding up our space units is a 10 cost and has a Resolute. To be honest, this is only in here because, well, I don't have any home ones. If you have home one, 100% switch this out for it. So even though this is 10 cost, it's very rare it costs 10 to bring out because this unit costs 1 less to play for every 5 damage on your base. And when played on attack, deal 2 damage to an enemy unit and each other enemy unit the same name as that unit. It's okay, that ability, but it's mainly here, like I said, because I haven't got any home ones. 100% swap this for home ones if you got it. With that being said, you probably normally bring this out for 8, maybe 7 resources, 6 if need be, but it's not bad. An 8/8 space unit for 6 resources or 7, like, it's good. And yet again, if you have Wedge, it means it gets the +1/+1 and ambush. That's our space units done. Let's crack on to the events and upgrades. That's actually really important within this deck. I'm going to start things off with, you probably guess what it is. It's a 1 cost that has 3 Rebel Assaults. What does this card do? Attack with a Rebel unit, it gets +1 for this attack. Then attack with another Rebel unit, it gets +1 for this attack. It's basically Leia's ability, but with an attack boost. Really, really, really nice card within this deck. It's also part of the reason why we went for such a Rebel theme, and that's why Leia's in here. It's just so many cards, like I said, just enable you just to go, 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 and boost them at the same time. So good. It's also one of the reasons why we can get initiative so often. Moving on to our 2 costs, we actually run 2 Legal Authority. Why? Why do we run this card? Because you attach this to a friendly unit, then when played, attached unit captures an enemy non-leader unit with less power than it. This card comes in more often than you think. For the sheer reason of, because you're normally going so heavy in space, they kind of just counteract you and go to ground. So because of that, you can normally just capture one of these Petty's ground units, attach it to your space unit, and well, they can't do anything about it. Like, by the time they normally play something out in space to deal with that, you've got like 7, 8 damage into their base, and they've had their attack reduced because of you stealing their unit. I found this card was actually kind of a hidden MVP within this deck, so don't sleep on it. That's our 2 costs done. Let's move on to the 3 costs, and we run 2 for a cause I believe in. I'm gonna be honest, if I had 3, I'd run 3. It's just a very strong card. What does this do? Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. For each hero aspect card revealed this way, deal 1 damage to enemy base. You may discard any of the revealed cards and put the rest back on top of your deck in any order. Essentially within this deck, it's a free minimum damage to their base, normally 4, while setting up your next turn through the discards. It's just such a good card. Like, you guys have probably seen this card a million times already, but yeah, really good card. If you got 3, run 3, but to be honest, you can kind of get away with 2. What I really like about this card is maybe you've attacked the unit, they've got like literally 1 or 2 damage on their base, and maybe everything's exhausted, or they put sentinels out. Okay, here's for a cause. I'll finish the game, thank you. For our next event upgrade, I actually run 3 of them, but I'd probably drop 1 for a third for a cause if I had it, and that is 3 open fires. We need to remove all in this deck, and this is it for it. So deal 4 damage to a unit, just straight up, boom, have that. So maybe they play out a unit in the ground that's maybe getting a bit too big, or maybe getting too much value for them. Play this, get rid of it. Maybe they play a sentinel in space that's slowing you up, boom, get rid of it. Really like this card. The 4 damage is really nice. It's not the best, but it does get the job done. And rounding up our main deck is a 4 cost, and that is 2 pillages. What does this card do? Choose a player, they discard 2 cards from their hand. Why are we running this card? So we've got Dodana, who's a really nice 4 cost resource turn, and we've got an ATRT who's an okay 4 cost resource turn, but this is kind of like the big boy 4 cost resource turn. If you can get this card out, it just completely shuts down the opposition's hand. The amount of times I have played this out and it's hit a high value 5 cost card coming up, or a big card within their hand, it's just absurd. This card can single-handedly swing games if you time it correctly. And someone who's been on the wrong side of this card many times before, it's so disruptive, it's absurd. Like, there's nothing more annoying than holding cards in your hand, like, right, this 5 resource turn, I'm really gonna, oh, I have to get rid of it now. So yeah, if you don't have Dodana in hand or an ATRT, play that pillage, really ruin their day. That actually rounds up our main deck. Let's move on to this side deck. So, for the side deck, we'll actually start things off with a non-vehicle card, and that's 3 Echo-based Defender, for the sheer reason of, well, maybe they're going really aggressive in ground, and we just can't deal with it. Play this guy out. It's a 4/3 Sentinel, that will slow them up for sure, while taking down some units. And, well, it's a Rebel, so he gets all the boosts as well. For our next side deck option, we're now going to hop over to space for a 3 cost, and that's 3 Consortium Star Viper. Maybe you're playing a deck, yet again, that's just doing too much damage too quick. Play this out, it's a vehicle, it's got Restore 2, you're going to have fun. Especially with Wedge. Makes this a 4/4 ambush with Restore 2. For our next side deck option, we run 3 Disabling Fang Fighters. Why are we playing this? Well, maybe you're playing out Sabine, who's trying to out-aggro you. Being able to play this out, get rid of a Darksaber is highly valuable. Not just that, it gives you the versatility to pop upgrades on any of these decks that are popping up these days. I just found having it in there is really valuable for us. And rounding up the side deck is 1 Hardpoint Heavy Blaster. Sheer reason of it's a vehicle deck. I had to get this in here somewhere, just because I'm never going to run it otherwise. So what does it do? Attach unit gains on attack. If this unit isn't attacking a base, you may deal 2 damage to a unit in the defender's arena. Not just that, it gives solid +2/+2 to that vehicle. Like I said, it's just kind of in there because where else am I ever going to use it? For this side deck, please don't take this as like the end all be all. Like, this is just kind of like a few suggestions I would make, and to be honest, I'd probably change this up because, well, I'm always learning this game more and more when I play it. So, there's the deck list for those who want it, and, well, matchups. How does it do? Well, it's a typical aggression matchup. So, for example, against control, you can kind of just wipe the board with them if you get the right cards fast enough. Against mid-range, you can struggle if they disrupt and bounce things. And against the other aggression, it's just kind of who gets the better cards. But that is why things like Pillage come in, and things like all the Adelphi Patrol Wings, and the Rebel Assaults, and Princess Leia's ability, just able to get us that damage so quick onto their base, allows us to basically try and win the aggression race. Not just that, what I found, with our General Dodanas and our Wedge Antilles, if we got one of them out here, and then we got something in space, activate Leia to then ram our ground unit to normally trade whatever they got, and then our space to base, means we're kind of always one up on the attack trades, which is really lovely. So yeah, that is kind of my early build of a vehicle deck in preparation for set 4, which is months away, but I feel like quite a few cards in this deck are going to get a lot better within the next set, and well, this deck in general is going to get a lot better within the next set. Please let me know in the comments what you think about the deck and any changes you may make, and well, what I should make next, because I'm always looking for new ideas. Thank you for watching my video, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one.